Hi, I'm Sarah Titus, and I'm going to be talking about the laws and regulations regarding special education. Starting in the late 1800s, there was a real segregationalist attitude, which involved removing students with disabilities to separate special classes to avoid disruption in the classroom. The programs that the students with disabilities received were diluted academic training and training for manual jobs only. A lot of students with disabilities were never sent to school because of this. They were really not encouraged to get an academic education. Moving on to the mid 1900s, the focus started to be on teaching students with disabilities self-reliance. Again, the segregation continued to be a negative connotation regarding students with disabilities, keeping them out of that general classroom to avoid disruption of the general classroom. In the 1970s, there were still issues with identification and placement of students with disabilities. It was very inconsistent and led to a lot of inappropriate placement and evaluations and conclusions regarding diagnosis and implementation of learning plans and things of that matter regarding their education. Ethnic groups were usually stereotyped and placed in special education when it wasn't needed. Parental involvement was not encouraged, it was actually discouraged. Teachers and schools didn't want parents to be involved because there was a lack of that academic training that was happening. Again, the purpose of the segregation was to avoid all disruption, and the special ed and general ed teachers had little to no collaboration at this point. In 1971 and 1972, there were two cases. Pennsylvania Association for Retarded Children, PARC, versus Pennsylvania, and Mills versus Board of Education. The district courts approved consent decrees that enjoined states from denying education to students who were mentally retarded and students with other disabilities without due process. These decisions were made under protection of the 14th Amendment, and ultimately the Mills and Pennsylvania decisions led to the creation and effect of what we know as IDEA. In 1990, back up. Education for All Handicapped Children Act, EAHCA, what we know now as IDEA, the Individual Disabilities Education Act, Individuals with Disability Education Act, which was passed in 1975 and 1977. In 1997, there have been a number of amendments to IDEA and a lot of other acts that have been passed regarding special education. In 1997, there was an amendment to IDEA which required high expectations for students with disabilities along with access to the general curriculum. Prior to this, they were being offered a alternative curriculum, much lower level, and not being able to be assessed properly, and having their progress monitored in accordance to that general curriculum that the other students were receiving. 2002, there is the No Child Left Behind Act, which encompasses the idea that every student is going to be provided with a free education, and students with disabilities are covered under that, so they want everyone to have access to that and be able to have the same academic training as all other students. In 2004, there was another amendment and some changes to IDEA, and these things included the use of RTI, which is response to intervention, IEP requirements and development, parental rights, reevaluations, and things of that nature. There are also a couple of court cases that are in line with FERPA, which is the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act of 1974, which is a federal law that protects the privacy of student records. The first court case is Owasso Independent School District versus Falvo, and the second is Gonzaga versus Doe. Both of these had big impacts on FERPA, and the decisions made were in accordance again to protecting those rights of students, which is so important, especially when it comes to special education and students with disabilities. And to wrap up, we have there are a couple of resources that can give a lot of information on laws and regulations regarding special education. One of those is Project IDEAL, and that really just goes into detail of what IDEA is and different things that different school districts and states and federal laws require of all schools to follow as far as their special education programs. And there's also a website that is called Understood, and this website in particular discusses the difference between IEPs and 504 plans, which is a great resource for schools, teachers, parents, and students to know the different kinds of things that are included in each of those kinds of plans and what the differences are. And another one that is particular to Washington State, which is the one that I will be following as I become a teacher, is the OSPI, Washington State Special Education Laws and Regulations, and there are multiple resources on there that I can follow and keep up to date with special education laws and things that I can apply to my future occupation as a teacher in special ed. Thank you.